European leaders arrived in Brussels facing multiple challenges. The war in Syria, conflict in Ukraine and the aftershocks of the Greek bailout saga have put the 28-nation bloc under mounting strain. But it's the unrelenting refugee crisis that continues to dominate European politics. More than 500,000 people, many of them refugees from Syria, have arrived in the EU this year. A large number have travelled through Turkey to Europe's shores. But now, a preliminary agreement with Turkey to help reduce the number of people attempting to make it to Europe.
We received a report very early this morning that there had been an outcome of the negotiations, and we were then able to reach an agreement this evening with regards to the exact shape of the joint action plan.
Under the draft plan, Turkey would receive $3.4 billion in aid in return for clamping down on the numbers of people crossing its territory heading towards the European Union. The money would be used on tightening security, but it would also be used on creating greater incentives for people to stay in Turkey, greater levels of integration and better living conditions also. But as well as the money, there's also talk of liberalising visa restrictions on Turkish nationals entering the European Union. Conditions not everyone in the EU is prepared to accept, including the French President François Hollande.
We cannot have a situation where, in exchange for Turkey helping us to hold back refugees that are on its territory, we liberalise the visa system with no conditions attached, allowing visas for individuals whose identities we don't know and can't check. So there will be a process with a lot of conditions attached. It's normal to discuss with the Turks, but France and other countries will pay attention to make sure that conditions are not only set, but also respected.
But with Europe under pressure to come up with a lasting solution to the refugee crisis, the EU may have little choice but to concede to Turkey's demands.
A willingness to contemplate visa liberalisation reflects a certain level of desperation on the part of a number of member states that they want to just stem the flow of arrivals to the European Union, and they would like Turkey to play a key role because Turkey is, geographically speaking, their best option.
In return for Turkish help with the refugee crisis, the European Union's also promised to start new talks with Turkey about eventually joining the EU. But in the short term, there's the question of where billions of dollars in aid to Turkey will come from. The EU's still suffering from the effects of the Eurozone crisis. Europe may have to dig deep if it wants greater control over its borders. Neave Barker, Al Jazeera, Brussels.